Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Gavin Courtney.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
It's a great Tuesday morning up here, and it is the 23rd of February.
That's right.
Yep. We are going to get our weather update to get us started in a few minutes. But from what I saw on the way to work this morning, it's looking pretty nice. So we have our forecaster, Ronald Gordon, on the line. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
All right. And how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing okay, thank you.
All right. Let's get into our forecast. So what does our general situation look like?
All right, starting off with our current conditions, it's quite foggy out there, so we are advising motorists on the road to exercise caution. We're looking at the weather situation in general. It's going to continue relatively moist today. We have a northeasterly airflow persisting, and that's going to support a few showers at times, mostly, well, over most areas today, and then mainly over coastal and southern areas tonight.
All right, and our winds?
Winds are out of the east and northeast at 5 to 15 knots. Key conditions are light chop.
Okay, and our temperatures?
For today, we are looking at the highs of about 82 Fahrenheit along the coast, inland about 86, and if you're up in the mountain Pine Ridge, about 72 Fahrenheit. Lows tonight, 74 along coastal areas, 66 inland, and 62 in the mountains.
Okay, so we're just about over that cold front, right?
Sorry?
I said we're just about over that cold front from that came over the weekend, right?
If the weather is from the cold front?
I said if we're just about over it.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, we don't have the cool air that was as a result of that front has basically dissipated, and now we are looking at warmer conditions. But still not very warm for this time of the year, if I may say so. 82 Fahrenheit and 86 is not that warm as yet, no.
Well, thank you for that perspective.
And right before we go, what does our outlook look like as we head into Wednesday?
Looking like a few showers will persist, mostly over the southern coast on Wednesday morning, decreasing and becoming isolated on Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday night. Also, I must remind you that we are in what we call the fire season, so we do issue our fire forecast at this time of the year.
Okay.
Latest satellite imagery that we look at doesn't show any hotspots for fires across the country, and that is mostly due to the moist conditions. So we expect that to persist and be the case for the next 24 hours, so the risk of forest fires will remain low, at least for the next 24 hours. No?
Okay. Well, Ronald, thank you for giving us that update.
You're welcome.
All right, and I hope you have a great day.
Same to you.
All right.
Yep, there you have it. So even if it feels like it's super hot, it's not that as hot as it could be for this time of the year.
No, it's not. I think of April. April is always very warm, so we're not seeing those near 100-degree weather as yet. So we will take or high 80s or mid 80s, I should say. All right, we're going to keep things moving this morning, and that means let's get some motivation in to get our day started. And that means it's time for our eye opener. Our eye opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. There is always something to be grateful for, even when life is hard and times are tough. Every day is a blessing, and in each moment, there are many things that we can be grateful for. The world opens up to us when we live in a space of gratitude. In essence, gratitude has a snowball effect. When we are appreciative and express that gratitude, the universe glows a bit brighter and showers us with even more blessings. We begin to understand that difficulties are also invaluable lessons. The sun is always shining for us when we're grateful, even if it's hidden behind clouds on a rainy day. A simple sandwich becomes a feast. A trinket is transformed into a treasure. Living in a state of gratitude allows us to spread our abundance because that is the energy that we emanate from our beings. Because the world reflects back to us what we embody, the additional blessings that inevitably flow our way give us even more to be grateful for. The universe wants to shower us with blessings. The more we appreciate life, the more life appreciates and bestows us with more goodness.
Well, I think that's a great note to start today off on. If anybody was feeling, any sort of lack of gratitude, then this is a great reminder that we should always feel thankful for what we have. I know that a lot of the times we get caught up in thinking about things we want or maybe things that we don't have, and that can make us forget, all of the things that we have to be grateful for that are right in front of us. Even things that might seem somewhat kind of annoying, like that, as the beginning of the eye opener suggests. Yeah. I know my mind automatically was going to rain as we were thinking about, the rain this weekend and a lot of the rains that we had over the past few months, in October, November, going all the way into early January, which of course did come with some bad parts because there was flooding, there was destruction, but at the same time, it's part of a cycle, and the rain is just a natural part of especially where we live. So it's a part of nature, and it's something that we have to live with, and at least it shows that the natural cycle and things are going on. And even for that we have to be grateful, because if there was no rain, then there would be a drought, and that comes with its own complications. Yeah. As our forecaster Ronald said this morning, we're moving into the fire season. So it's not as though we can ever expect things to be perfect. So with that in mind, we have to also take into account what we can all be grateful for. And that can be the most mundane things that are right in front of you. Just having a glass of water to drink. Some people don't have it readily accessible. Yeah. So it's always great to check in and take stock and think about what all you have to be grateful for.
Yeah. It feels like an optimist's mantra that I just read out. Something that that ever positive person always tells you, oh, there's something good coming out of this. But it's true. It's annoying to hear at times, but it's true. I always joke on the show, sometimes you can't find the silver lining, but you find the silver thread, because that's how small it may be when you have to look for it. Yeah. Because we recognize that things get really overwhelming sometimes, and let's look at what we're facing in the country. The economy is depressed. People are without jobs, or people are earning less money. They're concerned about loved ones. The kids are at home. They're overwhelmed. The list just keeps piling up and piling up. But yet, and you said it earlier, it seems like mundane things. But we're here because of a illness that literally takes your breath away. You can't breathe. And we get up and take that deep breath every single morning. And that's what we're fighting for. And so that's something to be grateful for. If your family hasn't been affected, if you are still working and earning less, if your children are still healthy, and as frustrating as they may be, still happy as well. So there are things that we are learning along the way, and I think those are the lessons that we pick up, that while you can think of all the external factors, when you look at what you have just within your household this morning, you can see and find that there's so much that there still is to be thankful for.
Absolutely. And when you do, take account of that, then that's what gives you sort of the strength, or at least the focus to move on past the difficult times, or to deal with the things that, are difficult. Because even with all that you've mentioned about the pandemic that is affecting every person in some sort of way, you have to put back into context that exactly what you said, this is a deadly disease that has potential consequences that if things go unmitigated, we wouldn't even, I mean, what we're seeing now and what we've experienced over the past couple of months, we can't even imagine what it would have been like if we didn't have to go through all of, the measures such as, the different lockdowns, the quarantines, so which, are disruptive to our normal way of life. But when you think about what we stand to lose, if we don't do it, then, it puts everything in context, and it gives us, a lot to be grateful for.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know some days it's really hard to find that last nugget of gratitude that you have left in you. But we do challenge you. I think the eye-opener challenges all of us, that we can be able to find it. It's just a matter of taking a moment and looking around, right?
Absolutely.
So that's the eye-opener for this morning. So we do have our Meet the Mural candidate segments lined up for you. And today we're going to be staying in the West. We're going to do 2 different municipalities. So we're going to be focusing on Benque Viejo and Belmopan. We're shifting our schedule just slightly a bit so we can get in the PUP mural candidate for Benque and the PUP mural candidate for Belmopan.
But before we do, we are going to be giving you our COVID-19 update for this morning, and we are actually going to be speaking all about the vaccines this morning. So joining us for our first discussion this morning, we have internist Dr. Jorge Hidalgo, who's going to be telling us all about the COVID-19 vaccine.
That's right. Very important conversation, very relevant to us as we're expecting to have our own vaccine rollout within the next 2 months. Yeah. So that's going to be something that I know we all want to understand as best as possible, and he's going to break that down for us. And speaking of vaccination and kind of the rollout of what's been happening around the world, we get to watch the international news. We see how some countries are clearly far more ahead in their vaccination rollout. So there's a story in the United Kingdom where their Prime Minister has announced what is going to be the departure from their lockdown. They're under the 3rd, I think, stringent lockdown since the start of the pandemic. And it's really interesting, as it caught our eyes because it's one of those things where it's very predictable. It's telling you ahead of time. So let's take a look at it and then we can chit-chat about it after.
As more of us are inoculated, so the protection afforded by the vaccines will gradually replace the restrictions. And today's roadmap sets out the principles of that transition. The level of infection is broadly similar across England, so we will ease restrictions in all areas at the same time. The sequence will be driven by the evidence, so outdoor activity will be prioritised as the best way to restore freedoms while minimising the risk. At every stage, our decisions will be led by data, not dates, and subjected to 4 tests. First, that the vaccine deployment programme continues successfully. Second, that evidence shows vaccines are sufficiently effective in reducing hospitalisations and deaths. Third, that infection rates do not risk a surge in hospitalisations which would put unsustainable pressure on the NHS. And fourth, that our assessment of the risks is not fundamentally changed by new variants of COVID that cause concern.
No, that was super interesting, especially when you think about providing a roadmap to the future, I think, is really ambitious, but it's also somewhat comforting because I know that a lot of people, or most people, we want a sense of when we can go back to normal, or at least when a lot of how life is currently, regulated is going to change so that we can move about with less restriction, and that, life can get started back for, a lot of people, in the business community or something are definitely feeling this. And of course, this is based on the vaccine rollout and how well it's going to do. And the Prime Minister of the UK went on to say after that they were planning for all restrictions and complete return to normalcy by July 21st of this year.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really interesting. You know, I'm going to say that probably because of the way how COVID has been going so far, it's probably not going to be that exact date. Because we know, if anything, that this pandemic has taught us that you can't plan too far in advance. But I think providing the roadmap and also providing the principles by which that their plans are based on, it does one good thing, which is sort of put everybody on the same page. Unite people and give them sort of a common goal to look forward to, so that even if there are restrictions, we know what they're based on, and that eventually it gives us a goal so that we can work together towards it, which has been the thing from the beginning.
Yeah. I like what you said, that with the pandemic, we've learned that, you know, even the best laid plans don't necessarily happen. And they were very clear on that and saying that, you know, it's not fixed in stone. It may be adjusted depending on what happens with the pandemic, with their vaccination rollout, and with the detection of or the emergence of new variants along the way. So those are very clear criteria that didn't really get communicated there. But what I like about it, and I think that one of the things that we have talked about quite a bit on this show, we are thrown into this era of just constant change. You know, there are new things that we have to do, new ways we have to live, and we've been robbed of the predictability of our everyday life. Having a plan laid out like that is one of the things that we see in many countries. You know, they set very specific, publicly known targets, whether it's if you hit this amount of cases, we go into this stage of lockdown. This is kind of the opposite. We're here, so we're going to move to these phases and kind of get us back to normal life. And with that element of predictability, it just gives you a sense of comfort to finally be in the know.
Yep.
Because we never know what's going to happen next. And so, you know, change is hard, and change just becomes a little bit more palatable when you understand it, or you know why you're doing it, and you know when it's going to happen. So I think that that's one of the things that I noted about that. But we also have to be, before anyone at home gets ideas, they're pretty far in their vaccine rollout. I think they're like 1 in every 3 persons have been vaccinated so far. So that's very good progress for them. And they still have to complete, they're going to continue their vaccination rollout as well. And they were under very heavy restrictions to kind of mitigate the spread of the virus. So it's not that we're saying this should be what we do, but I just thought it was interesting to see. And a sense of hope.
Yeah.
That even if it's in the UK, where the pandemic started before us, where they faced kind of the brunt of it before us, it shows that some people are starting to see the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that as I've also been looking at international news, which I'm sure that, you know, a lot of people are because of the nature of this sort of pandemic. And it is encouraging to see countries in Europe and stuff providing the roadmap, but also just rolling out the vaccine. There's places in Asia, in the Middle East, like Israel, who are also doing very well in terms of the numbers of the people that they are vaccinating. And I think it's definitely encouraging based on all of what, you know, the world has been through since the beginning of last year, that we can see some sort of, I don't want to say an end, but let's just say it, a resolution to what's going to happen, and a clear idea of how, you know, we can adjust back to a new way of living, because, you know, I won't say going back to normal.
Yeah,
because I don't think,
in fact, I think all scientists have said, you know, we're going to be wearing masks for a while.
I think so.
That's going to be a part of our life for, you know, we've heard it locally from our own experts and regional experts. It's another year or 2 that we may be wearing masks.
Yeah.
So we do have to take that into consideration. You know, when you talk to people, I have a friend in New Zealand, and they're kind of back to normal life. You know, it's easier for them where they're located, where they are, and being an island definitely helps. But yeah, they're able to get together and kind of socialize, and it's not what it was before, but it's definitely not as restrictive.
No, absolutely. I think that, you know, with the thing with mask wearing and stuff like that is, I think that one of the things that the pandemic has caused, which will be sort of, if not permanent, but really long-lasting, is just, you know, our whole attitude towards health and wellness and stuff. So I think that, you know, moving forward, we've heard by a lot of metrics that, you know, if people just have regular colds and stuff, then they're going to start wearing masks. People are a lot more conscious of their behavior and how it will affect others, especially in this context. So I think that's a positive. And then, you know, going back to our eye-opener again this morning, things to be grateful for. Because I think I think generally that's, it's a good way for us to manage our health and for us to think about others and to be conscious of how our actions do affect other people.
All right. So we just thought that was a bit interesting to kind of chit-chat about this morning, but we got to get back into our programming. So we're going to take that break, and we are going to come back and get started with our conversation with Dr. Hidalgo about the COVID-19 vaccine. So please stay tuned.
It's a fact that you can access unlimited services with Smart. Tired of being measured or cut off when you need to be connected? It's a fact that when you sign up for Smart's Plus plan, you get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data. And it's a fact that you can sign up with your group of up to 5 members for Smart's Share plans and up to 40 members for Smart's Enterprise plans for unlimited talk, text, and data. Smart has the true unlimited plans. That's a fact. Be smart and live smart.
Keeping safe from COVID-19 at your workplace requires 100% teamwork. You can keep earning while keeping yourself and others safe by doing some basic things. Wear a face mask at all times in the workplace unless you are alone in your own private space or office. Wash your hands frequently or utilize alcohol-based hand sanitizers and avoid touching your face. Disinfect surfaces like doorknobs, tables, desks, and handrails regularly. Increase ventilation by opening windows or adjusting air conditioning. Limit visitors and deliveries to the workplace and use appointments where possible. Attend meetings virtually as much as possible, and when not possible, hold meetings in open, well-ventilated spaces or rooms that allow for everyone to be 6 feet apart. Stay at home if you or a family member at home are feeling sick, or if you have been in contact with someone who tested positive for COVID-19. Keeping the workplace safe also requires that employees act responsibly when away from work. Practice social distancing and good hand washing hygiene. Avoid large gatherings and avoid unnecessary exposure to others. Protecting others means protecting yourself. Together, we can defeat COVID.
In partnership with the British High Commission.
In these challenging times, the one thing that is certain is that the Belize Bank Limited is here for you. There is nothing more important than your health and safety, and we continue to make every effort to make banking safer for you. Our staff is working around the clock to make sure you can do your banking conveniently 24/7 using our mobile banking app and online banking and keeping ATMs up and running. We value your relationship with us and are here to provide the support you need. First responders are also out there 24/7. Thank you, healthcare workers, security forces, firefighters, caregivers. You are all appreciated. Stay safe. We will get through this together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
Today's COVID update is brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center. where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
And we're back. And we're moving into our first conversation for this morning. It's our COVID-19 update. And we are focusing on the COVID-19 vaccines and trying to get a better understanding as to what's available and what we know so far. So we're joined by internist at Belize Healthcare Partners, Dr. Jorge Hidalgo. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me again.
Okay.
And now, Doctor, internationally, of course, we've been hearing about the vaccines for a few months now, and we are expecting to get Belize's first rollout in the next few weeks. But of course, the discussion surrounding a lot of this vaccine has been, of course, met with some controversy because of the speed of the rollout, among other factors. Now, let's start our conversation just by having a really general conversation about vaccines this type of vaccine and how it is they actually work before we talk about the specifics of the Belize's one.
No problem. Well, as I mentioned, I want to start saying that before we can go into that, we need to say that our body have their own armamentarium, if you want to put it that way, that help us to defend us against infection. When our body is attacked by either a bacteria, virus, we have the elements to essentially fight it, and then basically our body do that we can say a clearance either of the virus, and if we have a bacteria, then we probably will need an antibiotic to facilitate. The vaccines essentially are developed with the idea to provide us with a certain material that it will help our body to fight the virus without us get infected or get the sick, if we can put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Now, so what we're trying to do with the vaccines is trying to get our body to build up a defense before we come in contact with COVID. Let's try to go through what we know so far by the vaccines that are currently being rolled out. We hear of three popular ones, of course, Moderna, Pfizer, and AstraZeneca, but there are others around the world that are also being used as well.
Yes, that is correct. And then just to give you a general idea, as I start with our own immune system response, because what is the intention with the vaccine is trying to deliver or find something to deliver this type of information into our body. That way our body it will recognize the virus when it's the time and fight it. And in order to do that, there are several technologies that are being used. Mm-hmm. And I will go with the less popular to the most popular.
Okay.
We have some vaccines that essentially uses proteins, the different proteins of the SARS-CoV-2, and then that they will, with some particles of the proteins, then have been introduced to our body, and then in the future, when we get in contact with the SARS, our body will be able to recognize and then fight it. Mm-hmm. We have also that we call it a viral vector vaccines that essentially uses some materials of the SARS-CoV-2 with the same idea to provide and to have some information in our cells. We have also that we call it an inactivate vaccines that essentially will use a kill SARS-CoV-2 virus, and also we have the attenuated or weakened SARS-CoV-2 type of vaccines that they will essentially do the same, use as a delivery into the cells. That way we'll be able to recognize. And then we have the most popular one, Pfizer and Moderna, that they use a genetic material, and essentially this one uses a pieces of RNA, and then we call it the messenger RNA, that it will do the same. It will introduce a certain material in our body, and then in the future, when we get in contact with the virus, then we'll be able to fight it. Those two are, of course, that have a most a rate of effectiveness, more or less between 94 to 95% in average. No.
So Pfizer and Moderna use the RNA technology.
Yes, they use the RNA technology.
And what about AstraZeneca?
AstraZeneca we use something that we call it adenovirus. This is a type of virus that's it's a chimpanzee adenovirus, and then what the AstraZeneca uses is DNA material, more or less similar. Just instead to use RNA, AstraZeneca uses the DNA.
Okay.
And then with the same purpose, no. Again, with this adenovirus, then it will basically use as a delivery car, and it will bring all the material to our cells, and then that we'll be able to fight the infection when the time comes.
Yeah.
And and you mentioned a little bit just now about the effectiveness of the of some of the vaccines. And can you break down a little bit more about the effectiveness, just so that some of our viewers could understand, in terms of different strains and the effects on it, that it has on the body and fighting or preventing the infection?
Yeah. Well, the idea essentially is to for the purpose of being approval, we need to have certain level of effectiveness that it essentially goes to 60% or higher, no? As an idea to be able to fight the virus. Like some of the vaccines have an effectiveness of 65%. However, probably with AstraZeneca, there are two pieces of information. No? The study was rolled out in the UK and also in Brazil. And very interesting, in the UK, for reasons that probably we don't know, the first dosage they use half of the dosage, and the second dosage they use a full dosage. In Brazil, they use 1 and 1. But interesting, the UK, the effectiveness went to 90%, and in Brazil was around 69, 66%. I mean that.
I find that so interesting, and we don't understand why.
We don't know exactly what happened in that. We probably we have more information about it, and why this difference, especially in effectiveness, no.
So. That's important for us to know. Is we've been informed we're more likely to get the AstraZeneca vaccine as a part of our allotment from COVAX facility. But we've also been hearing more recently of the Sputnik 5, the Russian vaccine. What do we know about this one so far?
Well, as you know, the Sputnik vaccine, it came at the beginning with probably a lot of bad information, and then. But of course, when we're talking about this type of vaccines, we want to have a more serious clinical trial that we can have a piece of information and say, okay, this is a serious report, and then. Recently, we have the report that we was waiting, and especially came in the publication on the Lancet, who is a really very serious company, Polish company, and then they essentially show that the Sputnik vaccine, with the information we have, it provides more or less 91% of effectiveness. No?
Yeah. So that's important for us to know, because those are two of the vaccines that we are told we are more likely to get. Now,
that is correct.
Yeah. So when you and the Sputnik is also 2 doses?
Most of these vaccines are 2 doses, except Johnson & Johnson, who is a single dosage.
Yeah.
And that is important because when it comes to immunity protection, we need to have the 2 vaccines. We have the first dosage, and then it will take a couple of weeks for the body to build the necessary information to fight against the virus when the time is coming.
What's the wait time between the first dose and second dose for the different vaccines?
It varies, no? There are some that is 21 days, some others 28 days. It varies, but in average, we can say between 3 to 4 weeks.
And do we know about any side effects or complications of some of these? Because I think that's a big concern as well.
Yeah, that is a very important question, because first of all, there are no medication or nothing that we are going to get as an outside that is going to be completely free of side effects. However, what we've been noticing is one of the side effects that we see, especially with the RNA vaccine, is allergic reactions. Then we can have pain in the site of the injection, muscle ache, and in some cases we can have like a flu symptoms. We can put it that way.
Yeah. So, and I think that's one of the things that people pay keen attention to, because it is new. You may follow reports around the world, and you may hear of a particular population or a severe reaction. How do you put this into perspective as a medical professional?
I think so. One of the best things we can follow is the amount of vaccines that have been already administered. No? And probably the best example of that is Israel. No? Israel has been already vaccinated almost 50%, if not more, of their population. And you can see now they are starting to open and relaxing some of the measures that were implemented, the strict measures that were implemented by the end of the year, no? With the intention to contain the pandemic. And then now that they have this successful rollout of vaccines, they notice an important decline in hospitalizations, and that at the fact that they are start to releasing and to start to open the countries step by step. No? I think that's the best example, and also that in a way can give some assurance to our population that despite of everything, despite of all the information we can get, we need to have a more scientific information, making sure that we are doing the right thing. And then probably I will put in some of the things that you guys mentioned before, in the sense that one of the most concerning issues that the population have is that these vaccines were developing very rapidly, no? And some people say that probably without follow the appropriate protocols, but it wasn't the case. You know, the fact that we have the SARS in 2002 and 2003, MERS, and of course the Ebola, that in those type of situations, the scientific community already developed certain information that help in this particular scenario to the development of the vaccine, because we already have in a way some work done before that it helps in this time, and of course the vaccines were follow all the necessary protocols, especially for safety.
Okay. So, in addition to being able to recognize safety issues that are taken into consideration, are there any persons who are being exempted from taking vaccines at this time?
Well, that's a good question. No? In the initial trials, the population less than 18-year-old and pregnancy patients during pregnancy, they were excluded at the beginning. No? There are no some trials that are including the pediatric population as well as some during pregnancy, but those are the groups of population that were excluded at the beginning.
Okay.
And what do we know about the vaccine's effectiveness against all of the different strains and variants that we've been hearing about in the news as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. No? The information we know so far is say that the new vaccines, especially the most common ones, no, the Moderna and Pfizer and Astra, they are effective against the new variants. No? The advantage to have this new technology is that it's easy to make some adjustments into the material in case of we face problems with some of the variants. No? It's easy to make adjustment for the vaccines in the future to be more effective.
But so far, I think we read that some of the vaccines are not proving to be as effective against the South African variant.
Exactly. The South Africa variant, the information is saying that some of the vaccines are not 100% effective, or at least the rate of effectiveness is not the same. And then that the reason why they are now making some adjustment, especially with the new technology, that is something that is more easy to be done, no? To make adjustments and to offer a better protection.
Yeah. But the South African variant how many countries has it been detected in? Do you know?
Well, it's the South Africa variant as well as the Brazilian variant also. We are seeing in some other countries. I don't know exactly the amount of countries that have been reported, especially the South Africa variant.
Now, Doc, the rollout of the vaccine is going to be, within a few months. And one of the things I think that we keep on wondering is how much persons have to be vaccinated for us to feel like we are adequately covered to return to a new sense of normalcy?
Yeah, well, that's an important question, no? And I think so. One of the advantages of our country is that our population is not a huge population, and that's probably in that case should be in our favor, no? Of course, it will depend much on what is the agreement. I don't know exactly how much vaccines we are going to get through the COVAX program, no? But of course, they estimate at the beginning that it will cover 20 to 30% of the population, no? At the beginning, to trying to have the famous herd immunization that it will allow us to start to release some of the measures that we have and start in a way more safety open the country. No?
Yeah. And what do we know about how long these vaccines last?
In terms of effectiveness,
yes.
or the protection,
yes.
We don't know as yet. This information, as you know, normally the vaccines is going to be followed for a period of time. No? I mean that we don't know as yet if we will need to have a booster in a year or in 2 years. That piece of information we don't know as yet.
Yeah. And what about people who have been infected with COVID before? Do they need to get vaccinated?
Yes, because the being infected with COVID, it will provide people with the time it varies, but an average of 3 to 6 months of protection, and natural protection. But after that, you are going to be also in the same position and everybody else, that you can be reinfected again. I mean that the recommendation is that even if you got the COVID, you need to get vaccinated.
And so, sorry, you said just now that if you have been infected with COVID, your natural protection will only last 3 to 6 months?
That is an average, that we know, right? And of course, we have now the ability to measure antibodies, no? To see and have a lecture of that and see. But despite of that, the general recommendation and what they are doing in other countries is that even that you get COVID-19, the recommendation is that you need to get vaccinated.
Do you have to be tested before you get vaccinated to ensure that you don't have COVID?
No.
No.
No. However, you can get even if I get vaccinated today with my first dosage, I can in a week or two I can develop the COVID-19 because it will take some few weeks for me to start to develop the immunity. No?
Yeah. I wondered about that. So if we get vaccinated, or you get vaccinated as a frontline worker, I mean, you have to take, after your first dose, all the precautions or even more for that vaccine to be effective.
Yeah, that's an important question. The fact that you are get vaccinated then is not give you a green light for you to start doing that we are doing, especially the social distancing, mask. We need to continue practicing social distances, and as you say, even more than with more precaution, because of course we are getting the vaccine, and it will take some few weeks for us to develop a proper immunity.
Even after the second dose?
Even after the second dose, we need to continue practicing our different measures to protect others.
Yeah. And what happens, let's say I've received my second dose of vaccine and it's a month later, so can I then relax on what I've been doing? Maybe not wear a mask, or why not?
So far, what we know already, again, the idea is to try to complete that, we call it the herd immunity, that most of the population is going to be immune. But at the beginning, as I say, we only anticipate to be able to vaccinate not the entire population, and then the idea is we need to continue practicing social distancing. We need to wear our mask and doing what we doing right now in order to prevent to get infected, but also if we relax, then the population they will think that the things are okay now, and probably they will do the same. But the general recommendation is that we need to continue doing that until we have we're trying to get the famous herd immunization for our population. But that it will take time, because of course we need to try to at least making sure that the more than 50% of get the vaccines.
Yeah. So help me understand. The vaccines are going to prevent the person who gets it from getting a severe form of COVID. So it means that they can still get COVID and pass it along?
Well, unfortunately, nothing is 100%.
Okay.
In medicine. No? I mean that if you tell me, Doc, I will get vaccinated and I'm not going to get the infection at all, that's not true. There are not 100% protection, but it will provide you with enough protection to at least to making sure that in any case you will get a mild form of the disease.
Yeah. And so that means that you would have to still be careful about contracting because you can pass on?
That's correct.
Okay, okay. Now, the World Health Organization has said that essentially COVID-19 will become endemic. In other words, it'll be a disease that maybe we hear about in seasons like flu, and vulnerable populations will perhaps always have to be careful about contracting COVID-19. How does that fit in with the current vaccination rollout? How do you explain that to people?
Well, what is happening to us is that probably as an add-ons, you know, we always trying to making sure that our children have all his immunizations.
Yeah.
But also as an adults, we basically forgot that there are certain immunizations that we need to get. Like, for example, after 10 years old, every 10 years we need to have the tetanus and diphtheria vaccine that we call it the DT.
Yeah.
Also, if before COVID, just want to mention, before COVID, if you are a patient with heart failure or you are a patient with a kind of chronic pulmonary conditions, then you must have the pneumonia vaccine, as well as the influenza vaccine that we've been a little bit trying to practice the administration in the last years. No? I mean that with the COVID, we believe that it's going to be the same. No? Again, we don't know as yet if the COVID vaccine is something that we need to have a booster every year, every 2 years. We don't know as yet that part. But again, one of the things is being discussed that we probably need to have a vaccination very so often, that you will have the COVID-19 will behave like the seasonal flu, no? That we have a seasons during the year that probably we will see more cases, not as bad as we saw at the beginning or at the end of the year, but in a more controlled way, we can say that.
So it's definitely advisable that people, when they get access to the vaccine, take it.
Definitely. And then just going back to what we were discussing, and I don't know if you notice, probably we need to have some data, but we don't see too much cases of the seasonal influenza like the years before. No? And one of the reasons is that we are wearing masks, and that helps us again to prevent and to reduce the number of influenza cases. I mean, that's a good example.
Yeah, yeah. And just, you know, before we go, let's look at what's happening locally. I was asking you about your COVID-19 unit there at Healthcare Partners. You said that you have seen a drastic reduction in hospitalization.
Oh yes, we can say it's a dramatic reduction. We finalized the 2000 the year with we were at full capacity November and December. Just at the beginning of January, we start to see a reduction of cases. We start to send people home. At the middle of January, we essentially were with no cases. And just recently, we have probably last 3 weeks we have one case at least, but no more than that.
Yeah. And what does that mean for you?
Well, whatever strategies were put in place and all the different information we are essentially sharing with the people, you as a social media and media, I think so is basically showing that is working, and that basically the people adhering to the different recommendations that have been given them. Of course, as you mentioned, we have the coming elections, and the recommendation is that we need to adhere to those different measures. And as you guys mentioned before, celebration. No? That is something that we need to work, trying to making sure that we don't have any spike of cases in after the election.
So when you look at the next 6 months, you feel that we are headed on the path of seeing the beginning of the end?
Yeah, what's your prognosis?
Yeah, there you go. Yes, doctor, give us your prognosis.
Well, I think so. Again, probably we need to see what is happening in other countries, and especially Israel. And again, our population is not big, and I think so we can do many things. The most important part, I think so, we already, and the population already understand that COVID-19 is a serious condition. Is still around. Please don't relax yourself, despite that we mentioned that number of cases have been dramatically reduced. And of course, you see the news that also the main referral hospital of the country is also put in a different alarm way, because the surge of cases is not that bad, and they are actually using the regular entry of emergency now. It's just a signal that things are getting better, no? Yeah. But we cannot relax. Yeah. What we're seeing is that as soon we start our vaccination program, that is going to be an important help, and hopefully in the next 6 months we are going to be in a better position that we can slowly open the country, especially to the tourism. I think so we are open, but we can open with more confidence that we are doing the right thing, and we are going in the right direction.
And what
that's our
sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to ask one more question. We still haven't gotten any information or the final results about whether or not any of the new variants have been detected in Belize. How do you think that's going to impact us if, in fact, we find out we have the UK, the Brazilian, or the South African, or another new variant in country?
Well, I think so. That information, we will need to take it very carefully, especially because all the measures that we're implementing is showing that they're working. No? Mm-hmm. I mean that. Despite of that, that we can recognize that we're probably exposed to the new variants. As we know already, the new variants are essentially more easy to spread, but we are seeing the opposite right now. Yeah. I mean that if those information or those material that was sent, I think so. It was sent from for people a couple of months ago. I mean that we need to know what was the situation at that point, and what is happening right now. And of course, most important thing is what we are doing with people that are entry into the country. What the measure that we have in place at that point, and what we are doing right now, the difference, and if we need to do something different in case that we recognize that some of these variants are already in the country. That is not surprising, no? With the way we are traveling now. It's nothing surprise if we have some of the variants. No?
Well, Dr. Hidalgo, that is just about all the time we've got for this morning's conversation. So we want to thank you for coming in and sharing your perspective and sharing a lot of this important information with our viewers.
No, thank you. And you guys have nice day, and for all the population was let's keep practicing our measures because it's working, and then we need to continue doing the right thing, moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Doc.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. And with that, we are going to be taking a break. And when we come back, we are going to be giving you our Meet the Mayoral Candidates segment. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back after the break.
This COVID update was brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service. Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
Currently, we're using Smart Elite VoIP calling plan. We use it interbranch, we use it to call outside, and we also use it to call international. It's far cheaper than what we used to have before. Our equipment are new, PBX box is new. So the PBX is very good because I can call to my Sartaneja branch, I can call to my Kickalker branch, I can call to San Pedro branch, and there's no cost using the PBX. Actually right now, since we're in different locations, I can call main office from where I am at a no cost using the PBX system. I would recommend it, sure I would, especially the big enterprises who has a lot of employees. There's a lot of reduction in costs, 50% of saving. But that on a year, it's a lot of money that we're saving. Money that we could return to our members, since we give back dividend to our members.
Visit our showroom or call 670-6710 to find out how Smart's corporate plan and PBX systems can benefit your business. Consultation is free.
The virus that causes COVID-19 may be spreading in our community. People might have the disease even if they have no symptoms at all, even when they look healthy. Because the virus needs us to spread from one person to another, we can stop it from infecting others if we practice physical distancing. That means stay at least 6 feet away from other persons. Don't shake hands or exchange hugs. Do not gather in groups. Stay home if government officials tell you to do so. Use social media or telephone to communicate. Avoid crowded and enclosed spaces. Work from home if you can. Stay home if you are sick, except to get medical care. Avoid close contact with sick people. Don't visit anyone who's sick in quarantine or in isolation. Give them a call instead. Help keep Belize safe.
Are you traveling? Effective January 26, all passengers traveling internationally will need to get tested no more than 3 days before you travel to the United States, and show your negative result to the airline before you board your flight. Here at Caring Hands Clinic in San Pedro, we administer the antigen test, frequently referred to as a rapid test. Our products are CDC compliant and FDA approved. Testing has never been this easy. With our highly certified and licensed medical staff, we provide you with an accurate test result in minutes, making your experience fast, safe, and easy. To book your appointments today, contact us on any of our hotlines at 671-TEST or 672-TEST, 226-FAST, or our Vonage line at 305-420-6203. Book your appointments online at www.belizecovidtest.com. Caring Hands Clinic Antigen Test Center. We're pleased to serve you.
Hola, Tony.
Hey, Kevin, ¿qué onda? ¿Qué pasa?
Nada, le vine a buscar porque necesito comprar más mercancías de vasos y platos desechables para mi tienda de comestible. Me estoy quedando sin esas cosas.
No, hombre, fíjate que desde el 15 de abril no puedo importar nada de eso. Y se me acaba de terminar todo lo que tenía hace como 3 semanas.
Oye, pero nunca has estado sin esas cosas. ¿Qué está pasando?
Mira esto. Esta es la nueva ley que prohíbe todo el uso de plásticos no reutilizables. Esos son vasos, platos, cucharas, tenedores, todo eso. Desde 15 de abril de este año no he podido importar nada de eso. A partir del 15 de enero del 2021 nadie puede fabricarlo. 15 de abril 2021 nadie lo puede vender. Y a partir del 14 de julio del 2021 si alguien te agarra con eso, te multan.
Híjole, no sabía eso. Necesito cambiar algunas cosas. Les diré a mis clientes por qué esas cosas ya no están disponibles. Gracias, Antonio.
Así es, cuídate, man.
If we are only as strong as our families, businesses, institutions, and the communities that surround us, then by giving businesses the power to grow, entrepreneurs the ability to expand, and by giving our families the right to own something. The Belize Bank gives you the power to build a nation, our nation. We are stronger together. The Belize Bank. Our country, your bank. Love is a connection that should last forever. This February, NextGen is sharing the love with amazing promo deals for everyone. Reconnect or install with NextGen for free. Sign up for our affordable cable and high-speed internet plans and get 1 month free on your acquired service. But that's not all. New and reconnecting customers can now receive 1 month free MyTV subscription when you sign up with us anytime in February. Some restrictions apply. For more information on our promotions and services, contact us at 0800-222-5388 or via our social media platforms. NextGen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
Are back, and if you're joining us right now, we are bringing you our Meet the Mayoral Candidate segment, and we are speaking firstly with the People's United Party's candidate for mayor of Benque Viejo. And so we are joined right now via Zoom by Jorge Rosales. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Gabriel. Good morning, Miss.
All right.
Miss Marley.
It's great to have you with us this morning. Now, typically we like to start out our conversations on a little bit of a personal note. So why don't we start by telling us a little bit about who you are as a person, where you grew up, what you do for work, and introduce our viewers to who is Jorge Rosales.
Well, first of all, my name is Jorge Antonio Rosales, born in Benque Viejo, 1973. I studied at the Mount Carmel Primary School, and then I assisted to the Mupuan Technical High School. My studies are just at Mupuan Technical High School at the fourth form. So, and then after that, I went and I started working. My profession is a building contractor.
Okay. So Jorge, I mean, first of all, it looks like a beautiful morning there in Benque. I mean, I think that the roosters are sleeping in a bit too late because they seem to just be waking you up. But it is.
Well,
go ahead.
This is the way we live here in Benque. We have a lot of alarm systems everywhere in the morning.
I can hear that. And you know, that's where I wanted to start in looking at, you know, you grew up in Benque, you lived in Benque. I'm sure you have perhaps been very active if you have been tapped to be the mayoral candidate. What about what you have been doing in the town made you feel that you were the best fit candidate to run for leadership?
Well, I have been working at the Veteran Belize Eco Village, and since I started in 2009 there working, and I have been traveling these roads. And in 2015, I started deciding myself, after what I have been seeing in Benque Viejo, the problems that Benque Viejo has, the abandonment of the town. So I said to myself, one of these days, I will turn into be the mayor of Benque. And we were just talking with my wife about these things. And so I decided that the opportunity came. They released some applications for mayor. And then I went and said, I will get one paper and see what happens.
Yeah, were you surprised after you submitted your application and you heard back?
Well, I never expected to be here sitting talking to you. Well, this is a big opportunity that I have right now, and I am willing to work for Benque Viejo at the hardest I can, and I will make the difference in Benque here together with my my colleagues, the councillors. I will try to do my best for Benque.
Yeah.
And you talk about making a difference. What is the sort of change that you want to see happen in Benque Viejo?
Well, mostly what we have seen here in Benque is the roads, the drainages, and the garbage that is a lot here in Benque. We are trying to see if we focus on that, but at the same time, we want to see if we could make some to make this happen. We need to create work, to initiate jobs to people. I would say trying to make micro enterprises.
Now, the Benque Viejo town is a border community, and that always brings with it its own challenges. People can very easily go across the border, access things that are offered in Guatemala, and that also makes it very difficult for businesses to survive in border municipalities. Tell me about what your plans are to be able to enhance just the business community there.
Well, first of all, the closing of the borders here in Benque has shown that Benque could survive without Guatemala. We really don't need at the moment. I might be saying something, but people might say something else. I don't see the need of having the borders open at the moment. And because we are surviving without Guatemala, the imports and exportations of the cargoes is good, but we don't need the borders to be open. And at the same time, the differences between Melchor de Mencos and Benque Viejo being a border town to Guatemala, we have seen that there's a big difference from Melchor to Benque, and we should know that Benque is very abandoned for the past 21 years. And at the same time, we think that we have been left behind.
Is that what you have been hearing on the campaign trail from the persons that you've been speaking to?
Yes, a lot of people are concerned that we really don't need, we don't depend on Guatemala, and we are seeing that we could survive without the business of Guatemala. The thing I see is that if we open the borders, the dollar in Benque will decrease again.
You know, can I just say, Benque is so absolutely beautiful, and it's unfortunate that it's not well known for being one of the common tourism locations. Very often people travel through Central America, and they will pass through Benque. Are you also going to be looking at things like building tourism within the town?
That's one of my plans of doing the micro enterprises, because we want to clean the flora and fauna of the river. We want to do a complete cleanup and try to implement mini parks, try to do fishing areas, try to put seedlings of fishes, tilapia, and try to do some barriers for tourism to come along. We need to do a Riverside Street, George Street, and Churchill Street. Try to convince people to do Airbnbs, small businesses, restaurants. We need to push the restaurants to do a better job, to do more nicer roads, restaurants. We want to make it nicer for the tourism, the local tourism, the most right now, and the international if this pandemic goes away. And hopefully it will.
And can you also talk about a little bit of what you've been hearing? What are the main concerns of the residents of Benque that you've been hearing on the campaign trail?
Mostly people are complaining non-employment. We want to create employment to people. We won't be able to do as much for people with employment, but we want to try to fit as much as we can, doing rotational employment to people. The way I have seen the municipality working right now, they have established people working there for years and years, and they don't give jobs to other people. So what I want to do is change that plan that they have, and I would like to see if we could rotate people around for work to give a chance to everybody.
Yeah.
And how is it that you've been campaigning mainly? What are the strategies that you and your team have been using to reach as many people in Benque as you can?
Well, I have been thinking that the best campaign that we need to do is a work campaign, because that shows people that we are willing to work for the people, and it doesn't matter how hard it is, but we really need to do. If we have the will, we will gain something. We will put something there that people should know that we are willing to work with the people, but the people need to work with us too.
Yeah. And let's look at the history of Benque. It has been a predominantly UDP managed town for, I think you said 21 years?
Yes, 21, 22 years almost.
Okay. Now, when you look at that type of history, it seems that people have been very loyal to one particular party. What makes you think, Jorge, that you can go in and change that?
Well, the people here in Benque, the jobs around Belize and around San Ignacio have been very low. And to be saying that the people have been loyal to the UDP is people have been living of monies of the UDP. And we want to try to change that from, instead of giving money to people, we want to give the two hooks and a line to go fishing.
Yeah. And the campaign so far, do you feel optimistic that people are willing to make a change and put their trust in you?
I would say that people are looking at the change, and yes, they are believing in what I have in plan, and I think we will be successful on the PUP party.
So talk a little bit about the rest of the slate and your team that you hope to put forward and eventually be victorious.
Well, we have Ms. Avelyn Barrias, who is a social worker and an international development cooperation. She contributes to the social, she wants to contribute to the social development of people here in Benque and try to uplift the women. Then we have Teresita Alvarado, who is a single mother, and she wants to do some businesses with the women too, and try to uplift plans to do work too with them. And then we have Vania Melissa Garcia, who is a retired teacher for 14 years. She has been teaching around, and she has been working with the NGOs and the Red Cross and the UNHCR. So she has been a very, I would say, working person. And I think she's a good person too, like Avelyn Martinez, the same thing, and Terry Alvarado. And then we have Mr. Edgar Cocom, Eggy, better known as Eggy. He's a self-employed person. He has been in the politics for the past 5 years with the PUP. He's a good person too, and he wants to contribute in the micro enterprises and trying to promote the commerce for people. And then we have Mr. Carlos Ramon Iglesias. His profession is a driver for the past 15 years. So he wants, and he has been involved with the youth in sports. So he wants to be on that range there, working with the trying to support the youth. And then we have Mr. Oscar Góngora, who is a retired auditor and an accountant I would say at the Belize Bank.
Okay. And so with the team that you have put together, I'm sure you have a platform campaign that you're putting forward to voters. What is this team going out and committing to the residents of Benque Viejo?
The platform.
Repeat the question.
Can you repeat the question, please?
I was saying, what are you committing to the people of Benque? When you go out on your campaign, what are you telling them that your team can deliver if they vote you in?
Change the programs.
I'm committing myself. We are trying to, we want to commit the progress of and the change of the town by working together with the people and trying to do employments for people and to support the people. But at the same time, we want the people to support us. And give us the opportunity to give us the opportunity to win this election.
How do you plan to earn the money to be able to roll out some of the work that you want to do?
I have a plan to do this work. It would be, we want to see if we could be self-sufficient, and at the same time, we want to do some animal husbandry. We want to start something as animal husbandry. You know that Benque has been abandoned, and we need to see how we make this money. So the way we could do this money is trying to implement chicken coops for the broiler, the egg layer, pork, and tilapia. We want to raise these animals, and we want to see if we could try to raise, harvest, and try to implement these meats to the shops here in Benque. And if not, we will try to open up a meat shop, and trying to keep this harvesting that we do of the animals, and try to sell it here in Benque to try to do a circle, or try to promote the animal meats. And let's put it like this. We want to do this to create work for people.
Yeah.
And at the same time, try to put it there and try to keep the dollar in Benque, because the dollar in Benque is very low.
So let me before we start to wrap up this conversation, what's the biggest difference you would want to make in the lives of people who live in Benque? What do you want to be different if you are elected as mayor?
Well, I want people to see that we need to work very hard in Benque and try to change the look of Benque. We need to change the face of Benque, because it's a shame that the next side of the bridge, or Melchor de Mencos, when you go there, you see a big difference. There is a lot of differences from Melchor to Benque. Being a border, we need to value ourselves as Benqueños that we are, and give that, we need to give that incentive to people that we need to raise ourselves and try to be more than we are.
All right. Well, Jorge, we are in the last few minutes of this segment, and this is the time that we give our candidates the opportunity to speak directly to the viewers, and if there's something you'd like to say to them about why you feel you are the best candidate for them come March 3rd. And of course, feel free to speak in Spanish if that's what you prefer.
Querido pueblo de Benqueviejo, queremos que nos dé la oportunidad a los 7 candidatos de Benqueviejo para que nos den la oportunidad a hacer un cambio en el pueblo, para crear empleos, cambiar lo que está abandonado. Tenemos que cambiar este abandono que tenemos en Benque, porque la verdad estamos bien decaídos, queremos tener el dólar en pie, tenemos que darle valor al pueblo, darle valor a su persona, darle valor a su casa. Tenemos que cambiar esto, tenemos que hacer algo por Benqueviejo. Por favor, denos la oportunidad a los 7 candidatos del pueblo para que hagamos la diferencia. Gracias.
Well, gracias to you too. Thank you very much, Jorge, for joining us this morning and letting us know about your campaign there in Benque. And of course, please stay safe on the campaign trail.
Le doy las gracias por la oportunidad que nos dio a este programa, y quisiera que todos nos apoyen en este 3 de marzo a las elecciones. Vote PUP 7. Gracias.
All right, thank you. There you have it. That was the PUP mayoral candidate for Benque Viejo Town. We're going to continue our Meet the Mayoral candidate in just a few, so please stay tuned as we take a quick break.
as our families, businesses, institutions, and the communities that surround us. Then by giving businesses the power to grow, entrepreneurs the ability to expand, and by giving our families the right to own something. The Belize Bank gives you the power to build a nation, our nation. We are stronger together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank. Love is a connection that should last forever. This February, NextGen is sharing the love with amazing promo deals for everyone. Reconnect or install with NextGen for free. Sign up for our affordable cable and high-speed internet plans and get 1 month free on your acquired service. But that's not all. New and reconnecting customers can now receive 1 month free MyTV subscription when you sign up with us anytime in February. Some restrictions apply. For more information on our promotions and services, contact us at 0800-222-5388 or via our social media platforms. NextGen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
Are you traveling? Effective January 26, all passengers traveling internationally will need to get tested no more than 3 days before you travel to the United States and show your negative result to the airline before you board your flight. Here at Caring Hands Clinic in San Pedro, we administer the antigen test, frequently referred to as a rapid test. Our products are CDC compliant and FDA approved. Testing has never been this easy. With our highly certified and licensed medical staff, we provide you with an accurate test result in minutes, making your experience fast, safe, and easy. To book your appointments today, contact us on any of our hotlines at 671-TEST or 672-TEST, 226-FAST, or our Vonage line at 305-420-6203. Book your appointments online at www.belizecovidtest.com. Caring Hands Clinic Antigen Test Center. We're pleased to serve you.
Abigail.
Yes, Gran?
Abigail, I can't breathe well.
Granny, we need to go to the hospital to get you checked out.
No! I'm fine.
Yes, Gran, we need to go now to get you treated. Now, before it's too late.
No.
Grandma, we need to go for all of us.
No.
Stop. If you are having flu-like symptoms, please call us immediately for medical guidance. If you have chronic conditions such as diabetes and you're experiencing symptoms such as shortness of breath or chest pain, please also seek medical attention immediately. We've lost a lot of people this year. We don't want to lose you too. Please seek help if necessary. Call us at 0800-664-2273. Continue to wear your mask at all times. Keep physical distance when in public and stay at home unless absolutely necessary. This message has been brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
It's a fact that you can access unlimited services with Smart. Tired of being measured or cut off when you need to be connected? It's a fact that when you sign up for Smart's Plus plan, you get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data. And it's a fact that you can sign up with your group of up to 5 members for Smart's Share plans and up to 40 members for Smart's Enterprise plans for unlimited talk, text, and data. Smart has the true unlimited plans. That's a fact. Be smart and live smart.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
And we're back. And if you're joining us now, we are continuing our Meet the Mayoral Candidates conversation this morning. And we're shifting gears a little bit, and we're heading a little bit back eastward from Benqueviejo. And we are joined with the People's United Party's mayoral candidate for Belmopan, Sharon Palacio. Good morning.
Pleasant good morning.
Great. Great. Thank you so much for joining us for this morning's conversation. Now, we like to start this segment on a little bit of a personal note. Now, we know people in Belmopan know you, but for the rest of our viewers, give us a little bit of an introduction to who Sharon Palacio is.
Thank you. Sharon Palacio is a pioneer in Belmopan. I came to Belmopan at the age of 13 when my adventurous mother decided that she no longer wanted to raise us in Punta Gorda, and she wanted us to come to Belmopan. So I came here at the age of 13. I'm now 50. I recently turned 56. And along with that, I can share that I hold a master's degree in psychology. I graduated from the Universidad Central de Las Villas. I've been working at the University of Belize for the past 18 years. Prior to that, when I returned home from Cuba, I started working at the Ministry of Human Development, where I held several positions. The first one I held was consultant to the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, whereby I assisted in working along with persons who were displaced from El Salvador, Guatemala. It was very interesting. So I stayed with and following that, I moved on to become the counselor of the newly formed Family Services Department at that time. And along with that came the gang truce. And somehow they thought that I was fit for that position. So I was blessed to work with that gang truce, and I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Following the gang truce, I was elevated to becoming the coordinator on the rights of the child. And there's where I met young Marlene, if she can recall.
That's right. Very, very young Marlene.
Very young Marlene. And one of my biggest jobs at the Family Services Department was to teach the entire country about the Convention on the Rights of the Child, assist in the law reform as well. And the biggest job, I cannot remember the name of that Congress we held, Marlene. Can you give me a little hand when it comes to that, the specific name? Because I remember you became the speaker.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name?
Yeah, it was the CARICOM meeting on the Convention on the Rights of a Child. Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah. And that was a big job by itself, very interesting. And I look back at the persons who were involved at that conference. I can recall Marlene was the lead and several others. And all these young people to date, they hold very meaningful positions. After the Family and the Rights of the Child, I went on to become the personnel manager at the Citrus Company of Belize. At that time, they were amalgamating all the different citrus, the entire citrus industries. So I worked under Del Oro, and my job was to bring that merge together, working on the different job descriptions, and that was a mighty position by itself. Again, when I look back, it really helped me because I learned so much from the then CEO, Mr. Randy Fleming. After my 7 years at the Citrus Company, I came back home to Belmopan and had applied for this job at the University of Belize, and the position that was available was Director of Development. Now, I took a bold step to apply, despite the fact that they were asking for a master's degree in business. But, but I know and I felt that I came from a business background because my mom had me selling on the streets of Punta Gorda from I was 9. So that really helped. And coming to Belmopan, we still had to be selling. So that helped me. And I was able to convince the panel that I could have delivered the $250,000 figure that had to do with the job. And I did. And after I did that, a vacancy came up. I did that for a year. And then this vacancy came up, the position that I really wanted, which was Director of Student Services. And I worked there at the Office of Student Affairs for 18 solid years. During those 18 years, I became politically involved with Mayor Chanona in 2003 to 2006. So that gives you a little glimpse of where the politics came in, and we'll be able to discuss that more.
And that's,
back to you.
And and that's actually what I wanted to hear. You know, your history in the community work that you've done, it's been around the country. But taking the leap into politics, and especially running as the mayoral candidate, it means that, you know, several things. One, that there were that people had confidence that you were the best leader for the job. But secondly, that you had a direction as to where you wanted to take it. What are some of the things that for you has put you in this position where you are ready to run as the mayoral candidate?
Well, there's where I go to 2003 when Mayor Anthony Chanona, he heard me speaking at the auditorium at the university. And I can never forget, he came right after my presentation and he said, "Sharon, have you ever considered politics?" I told him, "Oh, no, that's not my cup of tea." And when I got home, I shared with my mother. So I gave my mother a lot of credit. And I told my mom what transpired at the university. And she said, "Sharon, go for it." So I said, no, I won't go, Mommy, because you have to beg people for votes. And I don't think I can do that. And at that time, between herself and Mayor Anthony Chanona, they decided that my mom was going to campaign for me, along with my daughter. And my strength was at the mic whenever we had these big public meetings. Fortunately, we didn't have COVID at that time. So we had several public meetings, and there's where I met the community as such. So I was at the City Council 2003, 2006. I was the counselor in charge of tourism, crime prevention, cultural awareness, and I know it was 4 and some other posts. And I can recall getting to work immediately. Although having my job at UB made it even easier. I remember immediately getting so many young people certified as tour guides. I worked with the tourism board at the time. And along with that, I can recall Mayor Chanona, one thing I learned from him, and I'll give him big credit. He said, okay, as councillors, as this Belmopan City Council, we developed a 25 years plan for Belmopan. And one of the main things that I give him credit for, he insisted that we had to leave money behind for whichever council coming behind, whether it was going to be us or somebody else.
Yeah.
And we managed to leave behind $5 million. And his plan for the 25 years would have been every 3 years, it's another 5 million. So at this time, we would be looking at a 25 million. But along with that, I became campaign manager like 2 times. And the recent one, which really made me realize that politics is for me. Our now Honorable Oscar Mira, I became his deputy campaign manager and also the zone leader for Belmopan Central. And
Sharon,
everything was, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a critical point to jump off on. So having campaigned with the now representative Mira, you have been on the ground for a while. So tell us about how you make that shift from campaigning from what he could deliver to now talking about what you and your slate hope to deliver in Belmopan.
Excellent. That shift. First of all, I want to say something. Becoming the mayor has been, I would say, something behind my innermost psyche. But when it comes to the actual selling myself, the campaigning for Sharon Palacio, I didn't see that as something that I can handle. I must be quite honest. And then I thought about all the negativity that comes with it, because there's where you hear all kinds of things that maybe you never heard of. But I can recall in the Oscar Mira campaigns, I really admire young Oscar Mira. You can see his diligence, and we became closer and closer on the campaign trail. And I realized when after reading his manifesto and the entire Plan Belize, I saw a lot of things, a lot of points in the Oscar Mira's campaign that I thought that I would be able to assist him at the city council level to bring Belmopan to achieve its true purpose. There's so much that Belmopan needs, and I believe that myself, working along with Honorable Oscar Mira, and of course our government as such, that there are several things that we would be able to bring back to Belmopan.
Yeah.
If you allow me.
Well, I'd love to hear a bit more in detail about some of these things.
Yes, that's exactly what I want to get to.
Yeah.
During the Oscar Mira campaigns, I quickly found out, and everybody knows this, that it was time for a change. From the city council perspective, 15 years of one regime. And somehow there was a lot of things that our Belmopan people were crying over, things that they want to see happen. And some of the points that they brought out as their number one, you would hear all the time, no access to land. Our young people are deprived. Then along with that, Belmopan had a lot of green spaces. Then you would hear that all these green spaces are being sold. Like the boulevard near the U.S. Embassy, sold. Our buffers, sold. Entire G&W subdivision, sold. Recently, the Harriet Topsy Park, I cannot confirm that all these things are true, but somehow the public cry, and you have a saying that the voice of the public is for real. So the leasing of the Harriotopsy Park, and according to what I found out is, or we found out, that it has been leased for 100 years. The San Martin Fire Station land that I know of sold. The Mayamupan community washroom, now that made me cry. I had no idea that it was sold, and that's a project that we had, that we worked diligently on, and again, we heard that was sold. No, and the Market Square public bathroom, well, that one knocked me off my feet. Sold. The land for future bus terminal, future hospital, sold. And I can go on and on. This program wouldn't be enough to share what has happened.
I'd like
so all these.
Sorry, I hate to interject. It's just, I think this is an opportunity for us to be able to hear more from your plans. And while I know there are definitely criticisms you can make about the administration, let's hear what your vision is if you were elected, what you hope to be, what you promise to deliver on if you're elected come March 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, looking at all what has been happening, we came up, myself and my team, and especially after walking the streets, whereby we found out that people, they've lost trust. They've lost that connect. So we came up with our campaign slogan as a change from the heart. Because Marlene, pessimism abound. So we're looking at changing the narrative and bringing optimism.
Yeah.
And there's where we are looking at securing land for our first-time owners. I am blessed to be on the board for the Reconstruction Development Corporation, whereby I can already share with the wider public that we've secured 50 acres of land, and we're already looking at a housing project to be able to allow first-time owners, and looking at a lot of these single mothers in motherhood who would be able to benefit from that. Last night, I was overjoyed when the Prime Minister campaigned with us. He has promised 1,000% support, and already looking at some acres of land behind the Intelco area, whereby we want to give to first-time owners. The last time land was giving out, the way we're looking at it, was in 2006, just before we exited office. So that is number one.
Yeah.
Number two, employment. We know that the entire country, several people, they've lost their jobs. We have our young people with their bachelor degree, a lot of them working at these call centers. I am privileged to have been awarded a title by the name of Champion of the Americas by the Canadian Bureau of Education. And that will allow me, along with my competent counselors, to be able to export human resources from Belize to the first world, which would be Canada, and find meaningful employment. I am looking forward to be able to send as many as 100 at a time, whereby they can go for 6 months, a year, and increase that capital. And we have to be wise, because that's the reason why we have first world, where third world can benefit. I lived in Cuba for many years, and I know that I lived in a period they call Periodo Especial, and we survived. We did well.
Yeah.
Because when you bring people together meaningfully, tell them the truth, what is happening. Because I will not fool anybody to tell them, hey, at City Hall, I'm going to find that 25 million that we projected back then from 2006. If I do that, I'll be fooling myself.
Well,
so we need to be telling people the truth and what is happening.
And I don't want us to lose all the time, and we don't get in some of these issues, because we can't skip over the finance issue. This is not something that is unique to any individual council. And we hear what central government is facing as well. And, you know, you've been on the campaign. Individual families are struggling as well. So what are your plans to be able to address or to raise the capital needed to fulfill the work that you want to do in Belmopan? There's the municipal bond that also has to be repaid within Belmopan as well. So you have the additional responsibility there if you're elected.
Yeah, the financing is something that we've already discussed. And what brings to mind is when the Chamber of Commerce, I'm comparing what we're about to face with what the Chamber of Commerce faced some years back then under Alvin Henderson, whereby the first thing he did, he found nothing, and he reached out to the business community. He reached out to them, and as us, the incoming city council, because we're going to win, we will, and we've already started this journey, whereby we're looking at our private partnerships with our business community to be able to explore opportunities. And for you to know, Marlene, we're using what you call the consultative approach. We will have everybody involved. And people in Belmopan, they tell us that they know it's not going to be easy. The one thing that they're asking for is for us not to close our doors, to make sure that we have the open door policy, and that comes with us anyhow. So we will not imagine things. The first thing we're asking for at this time, even before our elections, is an audit for us to get the facts, for us to know what's happening. And we're promised that that will be done. Upon arrival there, we will open the books to the public. There's a lot of things that is missing, because when it comes to that people connect, it's not there. And when you have people involved, there are things that you can do. For example, we know that City Council works off taxes, licenses, and those type of things. We know for a fact that we have a lot of delinquents. We will be able to generate that trust, that confidence. If you come with us and you walk around Belmopan, people are not complaining. People are complaining, yes, but the one thing they complain about is that disconnect. And that is what we, under my leadership, will restore in Belmopan. And then we'll take one day at a time. Because we know the entire world is aching.
Yeah, I want to get in this question before we run out of time, Sharon. The two major parties have put forward female mayoral candidates for Belmopan City Council. There are independent candidates running as well, but if you look at the two major parties, it will seem that Belmopan will get its first female mayor. What are your thoughts on this? Having your main competitor in this race being another woman?
Well, I think that the time has come. It's obvious, because from the two sides, we have females, and my opponent is my friend. We go way, way back. And I think that it's going to be history in Belmopan, historic. Yeah. She has served on her city council as well, myself as well. And I come from a family of boys. I'm from the world of men. So a lot of I just feel that it is a wonderful time. Yeah. And whichever side it goes, I'll be very, very happy. Okay. Because as you know, Marlene, we're living in a patriarchal society. Yeah. And for me, I was not endorsed. I went to what you call a convention. And my fellow opponents were 5 men. So for me, just the fact that I went to a convention, and I won't lie, I was scared of a convention. Because any number can play. But I came out victorious. I'm very thankful to all these delegates who confided in me, who voted for me. To them I say thanks. In Spanish I say muchas gracias. In my language I say sereme. So it's a time that you, Marlene, I'm sure you're going to be here that night to witness whatever happens.
And right before we close, can you also speak a little bit just about your slate and introduce the rest of our viewers to them? And then also in our final minutes, you can also speak directly to your viewers, to your voters, sorry, as we do give each candidate who comes on that opportunity to tell them why it is they should vote for you and your team.
Oh, definitely. Thank you. I am happy to introduce my slate. I have a group of young people, and somehow all of them I know. I've worked with them in some fashion or form, or I know their parents or something like that. So first, I'm happy to introduce Darren Swayze, who is no stranger to Belmopan. He's Belmopan raised, and he has a wide experience when it comes to the tourism market, accounting, finances, and so on. I have Hope Amadi, who is originally from Africa. He came to Belize so many years ago. He became a Belizean. He has been involved in politics. He has lost many times at the polls. And he holds a bachelor degree in nursing, and he's employed at the Western Regional Hospital. I have dynamic Guadalupe Chicas, who I've known from forever. And she is a masseuse when it comes to what she does. She has been involved also in the pharmaceuticals. And I'm happy to introduce so far Darren, Hope, and Guadalupe. And I move on to Pauline Soberanis. I've met her on her TV. She works at Plus TV, so she's a media person. I know she is involved in assisting the disabled and the privileged, single mothers. She's always reaching out to those groups. And I know her, I can say that I know her as well. And I met her at Love FM some time back. Young Sonny Carl, he's a Belmopanese. He's a businessman. And again, I know him and I know his family. And then we have Nikki Agustin. She holds a master's degree. I can say that I worked with Nikki from way back then at the Ministry of Education. We did Opportunities Fair together. I'm happy to see her growth. And she currently works at Beltrade, and she'll be able to bring a lot of her skills to what we need, because she's an expert at proposal writing. So there's a lot of work cut out for us, and we have a dynamic team to do what is expected, what the Belmopan residents are expected. With that said, at this time, I want to reassure our Belmopanese that under our leadership, the new Belmopan City Council under Sharon Palacio and her dynamic team, that we will ensure equitable distribution and ownership of residential lots. That's what people are crying out for. Ensure that first-time landowners is a priority for us, and especially young families and women. Make sure that our Belizean entrepreneurs qualify for the commercial lots, for the assistance they need. Our incubation center will be there for them to review their plan when it comes to business as such, because that's one thing that the Oscar Mira camp was very determined to have in Belmopan, what we call the incubation centers, where anybody who's aspiring to be an entrepreneur will be able to visit us and get the support they need, right down to getting their company documents and everything that goes along with business. The new home building assistance program and a system in sourcing funding for their investment, funding for their homes, for what they want to build. We want to be a part of that as well, along with many other little needs that our Belmopanese they have. I want to reassure Belmopan that for the first time, or for in a long time after Mayor Chanona, they will have a charismatic mayor, a mayor that will be there for you, using the consultative approach, committed to you. So with that said, This is our commitment to our Belmopanese. And on March 3rd, vote PUP7, Shar P and her team. And I thank Channel 5 for bringing me up this morning.
And we thank you for joining us and being able to tell us a bit about your campaign and how things have been going. Please do stay safe as you enter this final week. All right.
Thank you, Marlene. Thank you, Mr. Courtney.
All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and take our final break. And when we come back, we'll have our wrap up. So stay tuned.
Hola, Tony.
Hey, Kevin, ¿qué onda? ¿Qué pasa?
Nada, le vine a buscar porque necesito comprar más mercancías de vasos y platos desechables para mi tienda de comestible. Me estoy quedando sin esas cosas.
No, hombre, fíjate que desde el 15 de abril no puedo importar nada de eso. Y se me acaba de terminar todo lo que tenía hace como 3 semanas.
Oye, pero nunca has estado sin esas cosas. ¿Qué está pasando?
Mira esto. Esta es la nueva ley que prohíbe todo el uso de plásticos no reutilizables. Esos son vasos, platos, cucharas, tenedores, todo eso. Desde 15 de abril de este año no he podido importar nada de eso. A partir del 15 de enero del 2021 nadie puede fabricarlo. 15 de abril 2021 nadie lo puede vender. Y a partir del 14 de julio del 2021 si alguien te agarra con eso, te multan.
Híjole, no sabía eso. Necesito cambiar algunas cosas. Les diré a mis clientes por qué esas cosas ya no están disponibles. Gracias, Antonio.
Así es, cuídate.
If we are only as strong as our families, businesses, institutions, and the communities that surround us, then by giving businesses the power to grow, entrepreneurs the ability to expand, and by giving our families the right to own something. The Belize Bank gives you the power to build a nation, our nation. We are stronger together. The Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
And we're back.
And if you're joining us now, we are just wrapping up our show after some great conversations this morning.
Yeah.
We started off our show with our COVID-19 update. And of course, we want to say thanks once again to Dr. Jorge Hidalgo for updating us on the latest news of what we can expect out of the vaccine internationally and what we can expect for when it is eventually rolled out in Belize.
Yeah.
So thanks again for him and bringing
Very informative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we know that we're preparing ourselves. We've seen some of the plans coming out from the ministry, and the time for us to start to receive our vaccines is drawing very near. So it's really a great opportunity to kind of get an understanding as to what's out there and what to expect with Dr. Hidalgo. And then we want to thank our mayoral candidate from Benque Viejo. It was beautiful to be able to see early morning in Benque Viejo and hear the roosters who kept on reminding us that it's morning, although we do expect that they would wake up a bit earlier, right? But we do thank the candidate for joining us and letting us know just how the campaign has been going there and some of the feedback that he's gotten on the campaign trail and his hopes in being able to be elected the mayor. Unfortunately, the UDP candidate was not able to join us this morning after confirming, so we proceeded with the PUP mayoral candidate from Belmopan.
Yeah, so we do want to say thanks once again to Sharon Palacio for coming in, sharing a bit about herself as well as her vision that she and her team hope to execute for Belmopan if they are elected on March 3rd.
Yeah.
And of course, we will be continuing to bring you this segment, although elections are very near.
1 week.
1 week away.
1 week,
just just about. So it seems so quick after the general election, but we, of course, have been glad to introduce you to the candidates, let you know what they're all about, and why, and you know.
And next on Thursday, we head all the way down south to Punta Gorda, one of my favorite places in the country, and we're going to be talking to the mayoral candidates there. So we have Punta Gorda coming up, and right before the election, because we are based in Belize City, we're going to be bringing it home and talking to our Belize City candidates. So there's a lot more to look forward to as we continue with our mayoral candidates interview. Of course, it is what we consider an introductory interview, an opportunity for viewers across the country to kind of get a direct answers from some of their candidates, and we do hope that you continue to tune in. And if we'll be covering your municipality, if you're from PG or Belize City, go ahead and send us your comments, your questions, and we'll try to tie them into the conversation as well. But
that is all the time we have for today.
Yeah.
So if you want to contact us, you can drop us a line at oie@channel5belize.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OIE Belize.
And remember, you can tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your heart open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, please.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.